This episode of UK Low Carb Podcast is sponsored by Deliciously Guilt-Free. Enjoy the show.
Next, I'm joined by, he's known by several different names. He's known as Big Sexy to some. That's what his Instagram account used to be called. He's now known on Instagram as Big B_keto, so people call him Big B. He has told me his name, which I know is a bit of a controversy, and it's something that many people would like to know. But I have promised him that I won't use it. Right, Brian? Oh, whoops.
Oh, there it is.
That's not his name. Don't worry. Now, the introduction for this guy, what can I say? I'm talking to Big Sexy. I'll call you Big Sexy. He is a ketoer in California. I've never met you in person, but I feel like I know you because over the last 2 years, he has been incredibly open and honest. He's been very human, very warm, very human in the way that he's interacted with people. And I think that's really come across well. So I thought I can't just talk to the UK community. I need to talk to some people in the States as well. The first person and the only person so far I've spoken to is him. So welcome, Big Sexy, to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, definitely the Big Sexy moniker is still there. It's still lingering for sure.
I just want to say your view looks amazing. I know this is on the podcast, but those who can see the video clip, you've got an incredible view behind you. The only thing is, if you then scratch your chest, your body disappears as well. So
yeah,
I'm just staying there for now. Yeah, that's the worry. Good green screen. I like it. So
thank you.
On the show today, we're just going to talk about your story. And I would like to sort of firstly start off with your childhood. We talked about this a little bit, didn't we, when we were, talking about our podcast and what we could talk about. And you've got a very interesting kind of backstory. So can you tell me about your childhood experiences and, your culture, where you come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, well, as far as I knew, I was always Hispanic, but just recently I did a quick 23andMe to kind of find my ancestry. And I'm about 40% Spaniard, European, and then about 35% Native American. So I'm doing some more. Yeah, I'm doing a lot more investigation onto that side, the Native American, because I would have never known.
It's incredible, those tests, isn't it? If you do one, you suddenly find you're international. You're a walking UN. You're not just American.
Exactly. I mean, I think you put it spot on. I'm a walking UN. I've got a little bit of everything, and it's been really cool the last couple of days to kind of learn a little bit more.
So the Native American link, what would be really cool, I suppose, is you could probably find out which tribe you might have ancestry from, which culture. I mean, I'd love to learn about that personally. If you can come back on in the future and tell us more about that, that'd be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it would be, I think that would be a lot of fun, not just for me, but, for anybody else out there that has thought about doing something of that sort. I think it's definitely worth it.
Okay. So what about your Hispanic background then? So you were raised in the Hispanic culture, is that right?
Yes, I was raised in the Hispanic culture. I was born and raised in California. I have grown up with a single child. I'm a single child. My mother is a single mother. She did everything, to the best of her ability, working late nights, providing for me and making sure that I grew up in a very stable and loving, warm house. I have pretty much mainly almost all of my family in Mexico, but being in the Hispanic culture, I mean, you get to have friends of the family who you look at and refer to as uncles, aunts. Oh, those are just my cousins. I mean, it's so big. And I think one of the biggest funny things about it is when you see pictures online and it's like, a group of 40, 50, 60 Hispanics at a party. And then somebody's like, oh yeah, just a few of them came. That's pretty much how generally it is.
Really? Wow.
I mean, it's a big thing.
So it's like a big fat Greek wedding, but in this case, Hispanic.
Hispanic, yes, absolutely.
So what about food then? Because, when I think about the Hispanic culture, I'm thinking about some beautiful, wonderful food. And I know I've got Spanish friends who have wonderful food in Spain. There's incredible food in Mexico. What's the food like that you were growing up with?
Oh man, I mean, as typical and as normal as this is gonna sound, there was always some sort of beans being made, whether they were pinto or my personal favorite, black beans.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about those, but I just have always been a fanatic about black beans.
Wow. That must be tricky when you do keto then, I guess.
Oh man, I see all the soy and I'm just like, you know what? If
Poor man's black bean, yeah. Poor man's black bean, yeah.
Just not really feeling it. But no, food wise, growing up, I mean, we ate everything that you could think of, and of course, all of it was carbs.
Right.
There was always tortillas being made with breakfast or lunch, or there's some sort of bread. When I would go to Mexico and visit family, after dinner, 9-10 o'clock at night, you'd have your cup of milk with a pastry or something.
Wow, that'd help you sleep, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
As your blood sugar is crashing with the insulin, I'm sure you had a lovely night's sleep.
Oh yeah, no, you were just going down a path that. You
know what's really funny? When I was in India, they have. Do you have the drink called Horlicks in the States? Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
No? Well, Horlicks is a drink that we have in the UK that people drink to go to sleep. That's the idea of the marketing. And so the idea is like a warm drink. It's malty. It's really sugary. You have it before you go to bed, and it's supposed to relax you so you can go to sleep. When I was in India, it's exactly the same drink, but it's advertised as a sports drink that you have before you run a race because it's got so much sugar in it. I guess it's seen as being a fitness thing to have. And in this country, it's something you have to kind of dope yourself up on sugar to go to sleep. It's interesting how marketers can find any way to market sugar or any food to us, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they will find even the most thinnest, smallest little needlepoint thread to get through and use that and run with it. It's amazing.
And we're kind of susceptible to that, and our health, unfortunately, is a reflection. So in that case, you said that you kind of grew up around carbs. What was your kind of preference of food? Do you prefer more savory or more sweet? And what was your relationship around food?
My relationship with food was, I grew up eating everything. I never said, oh, I didn't like that. But my relationship with food was never more of a, I'm not feeling too good, I want this kind of food. It was more of a, I like food, so I'm going to eat it. Yeah. My mother, she never was really a sweet person. And I think that transferred over to me because I'm not so much of a sweets. I'm much more savory.
Yeah.
I like things that would have a little bit more kick, spice, a little bit more seasoning, stuff of that nature that had more of the bright colors. There's a dish called pollo entomatado, which is a chicken in a red tomato sauce.
Right.
And I mean, you could make that as mild as you wanted, or you could put, however many serranos or jalapenos, whatever kind of hot chili you want, and blend it in, and it would just taste amazing. So
yeah, I can imagine. Oh, I love
chili.
Love hot food.
I think, for me, there's got to be some sort of spice to it in order for me to enjoy it. That doesn't go to say that I don't eat, a piece of chocolate here and there, but if I had my choice, I'd rather have, a crispy tortilla with some refried beans on it or something of that nature.
So in that case, when you started keto, you were really kind of changing from your cultural tradition of eating a lot of carbs. That must have been quite difficult for you.
You know what? It was more of a mental strength than an actual, just change. I remember I started with my ex-girlfriend. She was the one that got me into keto.
Right.
And when she started talking to me about it, it was kind of like, okay, well, I've done clean eating, I've done portion control, I've done other sorts of things And I've lost some weight, but it's always never been something that it was, wow, this is really worth it.
So did you ever find that you maybe lost the weight and then it might come back quickly? Or is it just that you lost it and then you stayed losing? I mean, what pre-keto, what was your weight like? Was it yo-yoing a little bit?
I was yo-yoing. I was doing a lot of chicken and rice, salmon and rice, pork and rice. I mean, and then some veggies. So it was a good mixture of all food groups. And I was going to the gym and I was losing weight, but I never had that mentality to continue. It was always good for a couple weeks. And then I kind of like, oh, it's a cheat day. I would have some food and then it would just continue on.
Yeah, I've never known a cheat day for me be 24 hours, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
The body goes, oh, here we go. We can now eat this again. I've been missing this. Let's go for it.
That's exactly. And then it just kind of gets back in your head. Okay, we're back to this now. We're good.
Yeah.
But it was definitely kind of more of a body shock than a culture shock, because I would still be able to eat some of the foods that I grew up with, just you had to tweak it a little bit.
Right, okay.
And I always watched my mother cook. I was always in the kitchen with her, seeing what she was doing. And that first day that we started, we emptied out our fridge and our pantry, and we went to the store and bought about $400 worth of keto food.
You know what? I love the fact you say that, because I've always said to my wife, Besma, when I start keto, do it properly. Don't feel like you're denying yourself, but rather embrace keto, spend your money, fill up your fridge so that actually you've got lots of keto options. So you feel like it's a celebration for me. I'm a big meat eater anyway. So I suddenly feel like, buy a nice cut of meat, buy some roast, some beef to roast or some lamb, really go to town on a lovely meal with a lovely creamy sauce and really enjoy it, because that way you think, this isn't a hardship, it's not a diet, it's just a different way of eating, which I'm enjoying.
Exactly. And that was always one of my things that I learned, along the way. You're not so much restricting yourself for going, like you said, on a diet. It's just you're going to change the way you eat. You might not eat this anymore, but you can have a little bit more of that. And it helped, because like you said, we went out, we spent $400, but we got all this really good food that we would normally eat, but now we were eating it a different way. We weren't adding anything more to it.
Great.
And from that moment on, I mean, it was like nothing I had ever seen before, weight dropping wise.
And I've seen your transformation photos, because you've shared them over the last 2 years, and it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, you seem like you lost so much weight and you seemed much happier and healthier. And I remember some of the things you shared were really personal about, this change in your life and what it meant to you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, just very recently, I was comfortable enough to actually show a full picture without a shirt, bearing pretty much something that I would have never done.
And can I just say, that's why, and I saw that picture on your Instagram feed, and I thought, wow, that was amazing. And I thought, why is he not on the show already? Well, to be fair, I'd only recorded, I think, one interview by then. But I decided, right, we've got to get you on, because that was so incredibly, I was going to say, it's not brave, but you made yourself potentially vulnerable. And I think when people do that, actually, they have strength, because you own it then, don't you? You're saying, I'm in control of this. I'm going to show you something about myself. I'm going to be in control of showing it to you. And nobody can have a go at you. All they can do is have admiration, I think. And that's what I saw from that picture. So well done to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was definitely a struggle. I can tell you in full honesty that I kept going back and forth for a couple days before I finally just said, you know what, go for it. Put it out there. One of the things that I've talked to some people about, and I've had some people come to me and I've gone to some people, is, there are still some people out there that are in the shadows that don't really come out a lot. They'll see your stories, you'll notice who they are, and they're on their way on whatever kind of health journey,
Right.
but they might not have that inner strength yet to kind of full-fledged give it their all.
Right.
So sometimes we have to be the ones to be a voice for other people, and
Wow.
vice versa.
So powerful. I love that. And actually, if anything, I want this podcast to be us all as a community around the world saying, look, we're on the same boat. We may have had different reasons for coming to this decision. Some of us might be type 2 diabetic. Some of us might be trying to deal with our weight or health issues in other ways. But actually, you know what? We're not alone. And I think, if anything, that's what I feel from Instagram. That's what I feel from your account. And hopefully this podcast can do the same and make people realize that we can talk about these things openly. There's no shame. It's only about strength and support. And I just want to check, when you say you put that picture up of you just the other day with your top off, what was the reaction? What sort of messages did you get back from people?
Nothing but positivity. It was hard to see and realize that people that I had never met before in my life, people that I haven't met, people that I don't really talk to on a regular basis, are congratulating me, are being so appreciative and supportive.
Yeah.
And who I am now, and what I was before, and what I am becoming.
Great. That's amazing.
It's that sort of family that you get when you all are on the same page. Like I said, whether it's keto, low carb, carnivore, a vegan, whatever it is, whatever your choice is, we're all on that same boat of getting healthier.
Yeah. And
at the end of the day,
I feel like we all feel as well, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I certainly feel for me, I feel more like I'm eating the way that my body wants to eat. And that's amazing too. When you feel like your body's doing what it's supposed to do and you can see success. And the nice thing is as well, you're in a further stage in the journey than somebody starting, but they can think, oh, hang on a minute, maybe I've got a similar issue. Maybe I want to try to deal with my weight or my health. And they can see how you've done so before them. And that's inspiring. You can't get more inspiring than a success story.
Exactly. And that's, also true for me, because I know that there's quite a hell of a lot of people out there much farther than me. And I look at them for inspiration. I look for them for motivation. So, it all comes full circle,
So what about exercise now then? What is it you do in your exercise routine? Do you go to the gym fairly regularly, or walk or run or whatever?
So lately I've been doing a lot of walking. I've been doing a lot of kind of like evening walks when the sun goes down. My work schedule has been a little up and down. So I normally would go to the gym after work, during the week. So 5 days a week. And I have a very close friend of mine who is pretty much, my brother since, elementary school, preschool area. And he's been extremely instrumental in training me, getting me into the gym, and just helping me achieve what I want.
That's great. I think friendship in that context is so important, isn't it? You encourage
absolutely.
each other, you got each other's backs.
He's been in shape in the gym for 5, 6, 7 years, so he knows what he's doing. So having that kind of support, like you said, that mentality of someone who knows what they're doing, knows your limitations right now, but still pushes you, is beyond, there's no repaying someone for that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so in that case, 2 questions really. Well, the first one is, what are your goals now moving forwards? Where do you want to go in the rest of your life, really? What are your goals in terms of health?
The goals in terms of health is, well, I can tell you that I've achieved one of my goals already, and that was
brilliant.
I was diagnosed pre-diabetic, borderline diabetic about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just very recently, I was officially cleared, no longer
Fantastic.
on the spectrum.
Woo, 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 woo.
So, yes,
I'm really happy for you. That's brilliant.
That alone was like the biggest cherry on top for me.
Yeah.
You know, I was no longer in danger of doing that. So that alone helped me and pushed me to continue what I was doing.
Pardon my ignorance for a second, but I suddenly realised if you're type 2 diabetic in the States, that's a very different situation than we have in this country where, you know, healthcare here is completely free. So
Right.
if I was diabetic and I needed insulin, then it'd be provided by the National Health Service. And my wife's a doctor and she's an oncologist. And she said she found out once about the cost of treatments in chemotherapy, and you'd be shocked by how expensive it is. But I guess in America, if you have a disease, a chronic disease like that, would you have to pay for it yourself? Or I guess your insurance company would help with that in some way, would they?
Your insurance company would help, depending on severity, I believe, but there would still be some costs that you would have to cover as well.
Wow. So that could be not only a diagnosis which you carry for the rest of your life, but also a bill you've got to carry for the rest of your life, regardless of
Exactly.
how much money you earn or anything. That's just something you'd have to pay out.
Exactly. And I definitely, I don't get into the whole politics thing, but I think that, you know, it keeps, you know, the sicker you are, the more money others are going to make. So when you start getting better and taking care of yourself, that's when people start losing money.
Yes. Yeah. Sad, isn't it? Really sad. And the next thing I was going to ask you about was, what are your words of wisdom to somebody who's either starting keto and low carb, or maybe they're somebody who's had a few issues with it, or they, you know, stumble a little bit? What are your words of wisdom? What's the thing that you're going to teach them to help them get through this?
I have a couple answers to this question. One is, you know, we're all given the same 24 hours in a day. Whatever we choose to do within those 24 hours is going to be what separates us from everybody else. You know, whether you're starting out, whether you've been on it for, you know, a year, 2 years, a week, this is not just a quick fix. This is a lifestyle. This is a complete give it your all. Great. You want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're happy. Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take your happiness away from you except you. And don't be afraid. All the scary things will always be scary, but it doesn't matter. We're our own light in the darkness. We will make it. We just got to keep going.
I love that. Mindset is everything, isn't it? I think if
Yeah.
you feel like you're going to fail in some way, then you're more likely to. I believe that. I think if you have a positive mindset, or you have the idea you're pushing for it, and I noticed this in my own life with my business, with my jobs in the past, with my family. If I change my mindset, which is what I'm in control of, then you see the future is so much different to what it could have been, because I feel like I put everything into it and good things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta have that strong mindset. You gotta know that there's gonna be days where you're gonna fail, and that's normal. But you get yourself back up and you continue on.
Good. I love that, Big B. Love it. So we've had some correspondence. We're going to move now to people can write into the show, ask questions, share comments. We haven't had any reviews as yet, but I'm sure we'll do very soon. Someone's written this comment here. I'll just paraphrase it because it's quite a long email. Effectively, they lost quite a bit of weight over the last few months, and they felt really good about it all. Unfortunately, they seem to have stalled now for the last 6-7 weeks. They haven't changed in any way what they've been doing. They are intermittent fasting, and they're fairly strict on their keto, but they're a bit confused as to why they've had this stall. Is there any advice they're asking that we could give or experiences we could share about if we stall in our weight loss, what we think we should do or what we think we should advise them to do? So about that question then, what do you think about that? What do you think about this question about stalling and weight loss not continuing as they expected?
Well, it like anything, at least in my experience, as we're losing weight, as our body is starting to get accustomed to what we're doing, like anything else, once you get into a routine, it becomes almost like a monotone kind of thing. It's just repeating. So maybe if you are working out, change your workouts.
Okay.
I know some people that I follow will do a carbo load. They'll take a day, they'll consume, more carbs than usual just to kind of get their body back into gear. And also, I know this is kind of a hard thing for quite a few people, but cutting out certain things, whether it's a dairy product, even sweeteners, sugar-free sweeteners, if you drink coffee in the morning, just finding little things to cut, or adding more protein. If you're, working out a lot, add some more protein.
Yeah.
Things like that will help, but make sure that you're switching things up, because once your body gets accustomed to it, you'll begin to stall, and the weight loss will slow down immensely.
So I agree with that. And I think that for far too long, there have been certain slimming agencies which have kind of described the body as if it's some sort of mechanical machine, or a robot. Almost like you put in this many calories, you'll get this much result. And of course, that's been proven to be completely rubbish, because the body, as you said, does adapt. It does change. It adapts to its situation. If you run a treadmill and you've never done it before, your body will be all over the place, finding it very hard to cope. You do that every day for a month. By the end of the month, your body will adapt and be absolutely fine at doing it. And I think in the same way you're saying there about weight loss, your body isn't a machine. It sometimes has to regulate itself. But the thing I think is most important is that the body is able to make itself healthier. And even if you're not losing weight, and you might be doing keto and low carb to lose weight, but even if you're not losing weight, I still believe that your body is becoming healthy. Maybe it's repairing itself. The weight loss for me is always a really beneficial side effect. It's not necessarily the main thing you're going for. It's not the primary goal, I don't think. But of course, over years, if you keep up the routines, if you keep at it day in, day out, all those little times, every bite you take, every exercise you have, over time, the pattern will be that overall, I think you will have lost weight. It's just you might not see it this week, you might see it next week, you might see it this month, you might see it next year, you don't know. But I'd say keep going, because ultimately it's about being healthy. And if you can have that healthy relationship with food as well, then I think you're winning. And I would rather be healthy with more weight, but knowing eventually I'll probably lose it as well.
That's right. Absolutely. And one other thing is take measurements of your body.
Well, that's a very good point. Yes, weight is not the best way to measure health, is it? It could be size.
No, it could be size. Measuring your biceps, your stomach, your thighs, just doing simple measurements, you'll see where you're losing. And I can guarantee you, the scale might still say that you weigh the same, but your body will not. Your body will not lie.
You're so right. The amount of times I've done this where I don't even weigh myself now. I used to. About 6 months ago is the last time I weighed myself. And I remember clearly thinking to myself, I've not lost any weight whatsoever. I've gone down 2 notches on my belt, but I've not lost any weight. What's happened? And it's just the way your body reconfigures itself. In fact, weighing yourself is a very arbitrary way of trying to measure weight loss, really. It's more about a healthier body and how your shape changes. Love that. Absolutely love it.
Exactly.
Well, Bob, I've done it again. I've given away the name.
My goodness. I don't know if I'm ever going to come back now.
You don't look like a Bob to me. You look way cooler than that. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other B names. That's all I can think of. Brad. You look more like a Brad.
I
anyway.
look like I like it.
Most do a competition, though, guess the name, but actually, I don't know. You might not like that. Anyway, I just want to say, though, thank you, Big B _keto. That is your username on Instagram. Are there any other platforms or ways people can get in touch, or is Instagram the best way?
Instagram is honestly the best way. I'm on that much more than anything else. I mean, if you ever have any questions, comments, or you just need to, say anything, that is the best way to get a hold of me.
So you are at Big B _ keto. Brilliant. Go check him out. I know you did a lot of live posts and stuff. You do a lot of stories. Every Wednesday for me, I used to get your message come up saying it's hump day. That got me through then. I think I did a video back once cycling, trying to run over tourists in Cambridge.
Yes, I was very proud of you. I was very
you.
proud that you managed to not only run over a couple people, and I saw you. It looked like you were going over speed bumps, but I could hear the little whimpers as you were running them over. But you held the phone and camera so steady. I was just incredibly proud.
I'm technically just about a millennial, so I thought I've got to live up to my generation here. I've got to make sure I film it. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So follow him on Instagram. You've got to. Thank you today for coming and talking to us. I really appreciate you giving up your time. But I think you've said so many really wise things there that would be good to reflect on. And I don't think this will be your last time on this show. Maybe you'll have a different view behind you each time. We can try and guess the American landmark. That would be quite cool.
There we go. I'll do my
good.
best.
Yeah, that's the Sydney Harbour behind you, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, it is. As you can see there.
If you see on YouTube, you'll be able to see the background. Anyway, thank you so much, Bob. Been great talking to you, Big Sexy, and I will speak to you soon.
Sounds like a great plan. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye now.
Bye-bye.